Welcome to Sandlot The Crew podcast, where Sandlot Radio Show meets Wrecking Yard Baseball and Softball. I'm your host, Will Kiger, a.k.a. Wrecking Yard Will. And we are live here from the Wrecking Yard, Torrance, California, beautiful South Bay. I have to my right, owner, operator, former Division I player, and professional baseball player, Mr. Mason Morioka.
What's happening?
Yeah, to his right, we have, or y'all's left, I guess, Mr. Nick Green, who led Penn High School to their first ever CIF title in his first year at Penn. He's one of our great coaches here, great dude. And then to his right, your left, would be Mr. Jordan Crisp, sipping on some McDonald's orange juice. The man, the myth, the legend, played at Marymount College.
Anchor down.
Third baseman. He also heads our 12U and 13U travel teams. We just did a segment right before this where we were debating on whether Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. But right now we have a few more topics on the Hall of Fame. So the first one we're going to speak on is Pete Rose. It seems like we have kind of a unanimous consensus, but I still feel, maybe not. All right. So I still feel like this deserves to be talked about. Pete Rose. Let's go to Mr. Nick Green. What do you think about this situation?
It's a slam shut.
Slam dunk?
Yeah, slam dunk, slam shut. It's a yes. It's an absolute, a guy who hits 4,000 hits, was known as Charlie Hustle, the right way to play the baseball game.
Charlie Hustle, eh?
Yeah.
Wonder why they called him Charlie Hustle. Wonder why.
Watch a documentary.
I wonder why.
Why'd they call him Charlie Hustle, Crispy?
I don't know. Some underground bookie passed that information over my way.
Pete Rose unequivocally deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. The whole betting happened as a manager, not as a player. So to me, he's going to the Hall of Fame as a player, not as a manager, as a player. He deserves to be in. No question.
And he only bet for his team to win, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All bets that were placed were for the Reds to win. It was never against his own team. And regardless of that, whether you believe it, not, underground bookie, underground to the underground bookie, he did that as a manager, not as a player.
Mason, what's your thoughts on this?
I'm 100% yes on Pete Rose. I'm looking at his stats right here. He played 24 years. He had 15 seasons of hitting over 300.
Numbers.
He had over 4,000 hits, 4,256 to be exact, and over 14,000 at bats. Career 303 hitter. Come on.
Crispy, what's your opinion on Mr. Pete Rose?
Plain and simple, hitting a fastball is easy, so I don't know why. But how I look at the betting thing is like, let's put it in today's instance. If I was the manager of the Giants and we had a game against the Atlanta Braves. No, that's bad take. That's bad take. If we had a game against, let me think of a shitty team. Oh, not bad. A bad team.
The Royals.
Boom.
Oh, I was going to go Dodgers. Sorry.
Get out of here, guys.
Shots fired.
No.
I got you, Green.
We had the Giants versus the Royals, right? And I take my team to win. That's a smart bet. Is that not?
But
so what is your opinion? Is he in the Hall or not?
No,
I'm confused.
He's not in the Hall.
Okay.
There's no doubt about it.
He's not in the Hall because he bet or because he wasn't good enough?
Probably a little of both, but
wow, this man is wilding out here.
You're unreal. You're absolutely unreal.
This is why we have Crispy.
There's absolutely no one that is going to eclipse 4,000 hits.
4,000 hits. Talk about 750 homers. Hello.
All right. Let's move on from Pete Rose. I think we all pretty much agree he should be in the Hall of Fame. The numbers are unreal. He did bet. It was as a manager. He only betted for his team. The fact he's not, I do love that. Yeah, Charlie Hustle, he played the game the right way. Like, if you're a young baseball player, go watch some tape on Pete Rose, and that's how you should play the game, honestly.
Here's my one thing about it, and I've had this conversation with many of my friends. What I don't want to see happen is that Pete Rose, passes away, and then they do that whole remembrance. There's going to be a whole thing on SportsCenter, and then there's going to be that whole collective of, you know what? Yeah, we should put him in the Hall of Fame. And then he gets in because of that. And to me, that is the biggest slap in the face. And with the way that we have our commissioners today in baseball, I think that it would be a disservice for him. The guy deserves to see himself be in the Hall of Fame.
Agreed. All right, let's move on. So Chris Mad Dog LaRusso once famously said that Mr. Joey Votto and Zack Greinke should be in the Hall of Really Good Players. And personally, I found that to be invalid. I think all right, let's start with Joey Votto. All right. Joey Votto, I think he's more debatable than Zack Greinke, but this is my thing about Joey Votto. All right. 17 years in the major leagues. For one, that is a very, very long career. You have an MVP. You have 6-time All-Star. You've got a Golden Glove, second in Rookie of the Year. He was also second in MVP voting in 2017, and many feel he was robbed, so he could have 2 MVPs. He also played all 17 years on the Reds, which have been historically crappy. And I just love the way he represents the game of baseball. I think he's a really good dude. The way he interacts with the fans, the personality he has, just overall the player he is and the person he is. Personally, I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. But I know this is a mixed bag here, so
yeah, a little bit. And it was a conversation that Nick and I were just having off camera was, I think the Hall of Fame voting needs to change just a little bit, because if you leave a guy like Joey Votto in the Hall of Fame, let's say for the next 9 years he doesn't make it, and in year 10, Freddie Freeman retires, and now Freddie Freeman's on the ballot. Well, right now, even with current Freddie Freeman's numbers, they're pretty darn close to what Joey Votto has done through his 17-year career, So in 9 years from now, if you're comparing Freddie Freeman to Joey Votto's votes are going to go way down because Freddie Freeman's numbers are going to absolutely eclipse that in 9 or 10 years from now. So if he doesn't make it into the Hall of Fame in the next, call it 5, will he ever? And that's a question I think that the Mad Dog was asking himself.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. Very good point right there. Because, if you're stacking him up next to Freddie Freeman, then especially with 9 more years, the numbers aren't going to be that great. I do think the Hall of Fame voting needs to change. And Joey might come back for another year. And then once you retire, how much time do you have to wait till you're even on the ballot? You know what I mean? So it's a whole thing. Green, what are your thoughts on Votto?
I mean, I think I think Mad Dog had it right. I think he deserved to be in the Hall of Very Good Players. I mean, he was a good guy. He won an MVP for a Reds organization that really hasn't done anything, much like the Angels for the last 20 years. Yep. I mean, they
don't get started on that.
I'm just saying he was a good player on a bad team. He was a good leader. He's a good baseball guy. He has a couple accolades, but one of the things I think that's kind of glaring in that is that if he's one of the best baseball players of his time, why no Silver Sluggers? I mean, to me, if you're not able to beat out your competition at your position, and you're supposed to be there because of offense, to me, it kind of tells me right there, you're a really good player, but you...
Well, to that point, there's, for example, Ozzie Smith, right, who was an incredible shortstop, won a Gold Glove 10 years in a row. And then there's, Barry Larkin, and they were playing at the same time. So you could make the same argument of Barry Larkin didn't win any Gold Gloves. Sometimes there's just a dude who's just absolutely phenomenal at your position, and it's not necessarily a knock to you, but if you're playing against one of the all-time greats at your position, you might not do it. But, I mean, as of right now, Votto's a .294 lifetime hitter.
On base is over 4.
On base is over 4. If you took his last 4 seasons out, his lifetime batting average would be well into the 3s. I mean, he's hit 300 or above
9 seasons.
9 seasons.
9 out of 17.
Which is great. Definitely not discounting that. But kind of what Mason said was, I mean, if you have Freddie Freeman play for the next, let's call it 6 to 8 years, he shatters all Joey Votto's records. Primarily as far as hits, home runs, average, career could change, and as far as on base. But I think that what do we start, looking at players now that are getting to the Hall in different eras as to how the game's played? Because now, guys that are hitting home runs, getting walked, or hitting extra base hits, that's what the game is all about now. It's not about average. Where Joey Votto, in the kind of time period that he was still playing in that, hey, if you bat over 300, if you have 20 plus jacks, then you are a great baseball player. you know, and your on base is getting there closer to 4. Like, hey, you're going to be a Hall of Fame player. I think that has changed now, looking at how the players now are up and coming and you see what they're doing in the game. I think it gets a lot harder to judge.
I mean, it's more acceptable nowadays than it was back then to hit 220, have 30 plus home
100%.
runs and 100 plus strikeouts in a season.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, as we see with Schwarber and Max Muncy, these guys barely clips 200 on the batting average. But
Muncy, though, was an off year, though, because Muncy, I feel like, has been up there closer to 3. Because I remember he's walked a lot, and he's got
both of those
eye.
guys walk a lot, though. But Crispy, what's your opinion on Votto?
Hall of Famer. no
Hall of
doubt.
Famer. All right.
No doubt.
Give me some more. Why?
Guy's just an outstanding dude. You know what I mean? There's really no ifs, ands, ors about it. Like it's plain and simple.
So we give Hall of Fame to nice guys now?
Absolutely, yeah. Pete Rose, kick him out, you know, but you need Joey Votto in there. Absolutely. He's a staple player for the game, you know. Kind of like what you were saying. He grew up in that era of like hitting 300, having 200 or 20 plus jacks. Like, and though Will made a good point to where he may not have won those Gold Glove awards or Silver Slugger awards, but that's because other dudes in the league were just outdoing him.
So don't those dudes, to me, in my mind, if
But if you're
someone's
playing with a
outside-
bunch of Hall of Famers at that time, that
Exactly.
doesn't disqualify you from getting. And he does have one Golden Glove. To be fair.
It doesn't disqualify you. However, if we're talking about the Hall of Fame, and if you're below all those other guys at your position group or that you're playing against, and those guys are Hall of Fame, and you're not up to those numbers, then guess what? You're not in the Hall of Fame.
What?
You are a very good.
I don't know. I don't know about
low
that.
is he?
There's only one guy who wins the Silver Slugger in each league. There's only one.
And
So
think
you
about-
can
but
still
think
be
about it.
phenomenal and not win the Silver Slugger.
9 seasons of hitting over 300. 9 consecutively.
But you also
One
have to
MV
think of the market that he's in. He's in Cincinnati. No one cares about the
That's
Cincinnati
true.
Reds.
These are
no one
awards
cares.
that are voted on.
Exactly.
Won an
No one
MVP.
cares about the Cincinnati Reds.
Won an MVP, 9 seasons over 300. Never won a Silver Slugger.
17 years in the big.
17 years.
17 years in Cincinnati
356 jacks.
for the Reds. No one cares about the
294
Reds.
average. I mean, 400 on base, even with his last 4 years, which haven't been the greatest. My opinion, Votto's in. So we got Crispy says yes. I say yes. Green says no. Mason, what was your opinion?
I
You
don't
said
know.
yes or no. You're still on
Honestly,
the fence.
I'm on the fence. I'm on
Okay.
the fence mainly because of how the Hall of Fame is going. You know, again, I think if you leave that guy on the ballot for a longer period of time, there are going to be more and more guys that are going to pass him.
Yep.
You know, if like let's say, I think Todd Helton was playing around that time as well.
Yeah.
A little
Right?
before.
A little bit before.
A little bit before, but everyone knows that name. Everybody knows who Todd Helton is.
Yeah.
Right? He's a well over 300 career hitter, played for 20 plus years in the league. Granted, he played in Colorado, so his numbers might be a little bit inflated,
Definitely.
but just like Votto, spent his entire career with one organization, for good or bad, so could something be said about that as a player for Joey Votto? 100%. If Joey Votto was playing for, a more prevalent offensive team or a bigger market team, would he get more recognition for the kind of stats that he has?
Yeah.
I think
know?
100%. If you put Joey Votto's personality on the Dodgers or the Yankees or a big market team like that, I think he'd be an absolute superstar. His votes would go way up in all these categories. But to the point we were making about in the first segment about Barry Bonds with the ethics and morality, and Joey Votto is A+ character. And that is something that needs to be taken into account. No, we don't just put guys in because they're nice, but we do need to think about not only the on the field statistics, but how they represent the game of baseball overall. So that should be taken into account. Okay, Green, one last point on Votto, make it quick, and then we're going to move to Zack Greinke.
My only thing on that is if we're going to give it that morality of, okay, we'll ignore kind of the on the field, but because you're a nice guy, then we're gonna give you the vote. Then why doesn't it work the other way? That, hey, you might not have been a very liked person, but based off of what you did on the field, we'll put you in. Because Curt Schilling, not very liked by his comments outside of baseball and by the writers, but on the field, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose didn't like what he did as a manager, but now we're going to make you suffer because of what you did on the player. Even though your stats on the field of what you did deserves to be in. To me, it's got to work both ways. If you're going to put Joey Votto in because he's a nice guy and that's the thing that budges him, That's my 2 cents.
Cincinnati. That's all I got to say.
Well, you got to remember, at the end of the day, this is somewhat of a popularity contest because this is voting. It's opinion-based, and you need to make people like you if you want them to vote for you. So not saying Joey should get in because he's nice, but I'm saying the numbers are pretty damn good, and then you factor that in, I think he's there. All right, but enough on Joey Votto. Let's go Mr. Zack Greinke. 20 seasons in the big leagues as of right now. We have a Cy Young. We have how many All-Stars? Many All-Stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
2
7.
ERA titles.
2 ERA titles. He has not won a World Series, but in his 3 World Series appearances, he had like a 1.8 ERA and pitched absolutely phenomenally. The dude can also hit the shit out of the ball. Great athlete. A bunch of Golden Gloves as well.
Converted shortstop.
6 Golden Gloves. Converted shortstop. 2 Silver Sluggers. There you go, Greener. Pitching titles. So where are we standing on Zack Greinke?
So I'm a little bit biased here just because he pitched for the Dodgers and he was great as a Dodger. One year, I think it was 2015, 19-3, 1.66 ERA. Guy was absolutely lights out in the NL West for the Dodgers that year. And, over the years, I think the guy's really learned how to pitch. I think early in his career with the Kansas City Royals, he had a plus fastball at that time. It was, in the mid to high 90s. The slider was absolutely devastating at that point. And he was really, really highly touted as one of the better arms at that time. As he's aged and the diminished of velocity, learning how to throw a really good changeup, and his giant ephus pitch that comes in at 60 miles an hour,
You gotta love that one.
The guy is really adapted to, the hard throwers nowadays, learning how to finesse pitch more and more, in that kind of call it a dying era of pitching. Where now we're looking at high 90 fastballs that are even 100-mile-an-hour fastballs, when back in his day, especially when he first started coming up, 100 miles an hour was unheard of.
Yeah, no one was doing that.
And now he's throwing an 89-mile-an-hour changeup.
He's also just a complete psycho. I love the dude.
For sure.
I love the way he attacks hitters. He will sit there in a game and go, fastball's coming. Hit it. Bet you won't. And they don't do it. I mean, he's just an absolute animal out there. I love the dude. Greener, what do you think?
I think, yeah. I think he's last of kind of almost I feel like it's going to be a dying breed here with pitchers going forward in the Hall of Fame voting where, he's a 200-game winner. He's only 21 strikeouts away from being, 3,000 strikeouts for his career. Now that pitchers are going only about like 5 innings, I just don't see how many times we're going to see now 200-game winners and 3,000 Ks. It'd be interesting seeing how that goes, in the future. But I think for what he did, the ERA titles, 6-time Gold Glover, 2-time Silver Slugger, in the playoffs that he has been in there, having an ERA of 1.8, I think that he meets the criteria for me of getting in. I think if the numbers were below what he was, across the board, I would say probably not. But I think he did enough to get himself, into there.
Crispy, what are your thoughts?
Guy's a bum.
A bum.
Yep, plain and simple.
Yeah, you're going to have to give me more than that, brother.
Well, he played on the Dodgers, so that disqualifies him as a straight bum.
This is why we bring Crispy on the podcast.
If he would have been a Royals man the rest of his life, I would have been totally fine. Hall of Famer, no doubt. But went to the Trader side, instantly became a bum.
100% bias.
Numbers were cool.
No bias there for Mr.
No
Jordan
bias,
Crispy.
But, the numbers were cool and all, but I don't know. He doesn't got that dog in him to me.
Wow, that is a lot. He has the most dog in him. He's straight pit bull off the leash, dude.
Yeah, more like a golden retriever.
Oh, wow. Like this is wild.
That might be
I'm going to have to edit this out. This is crazy. All right, let's just to give a overview of some of the numbers here. 225 wins as of right now, 2,979 strikeouts with only 762 walks. So the strikeout to walk ratio is very, very good. If he pitches one more year, he will have 3,000 strikeouts. ERA at 3.49 lifetime. and
Not terrible, but
not terrible. He had a couple seasons where he had one season where he was at 5.8, 4.2, but he also had seasons 1.66,
Yep, like
2.7, 2.9. So he had that's the average, but he's had some really phenomenal years. The whip is only 1.1, which is really, really good numbers. Let's go final takes on Zack Greinke. I say 100% in. 20 years as a big league pitcher, 6-time All-Star, the Golden Gloves, the Silver Sluggers. If he pitches one more year, he's got 3,000 strikeouts. Just a phenomenal guy. He's in there. Mason, final take.
Still on the fence with this one too.
He's a bum. Told you.
No. I don't. I mean, hey, I don't think.
Told you.
See, I don't think he's a bum, but I do believe he is an outstanding baseball player. But if we're going straight off of numbers, with wins not being as prevalent, with this day and age of pitching, where like what Nick said, most starters are only going to go 5-6 innings at most, with high powered bullpens, guys throwing 100 miles an hour, that sort of stuff. But at the same time, he also started his career in an era where pitching was more of an art, so with that being said, I'm going to hop the fence. I'm going to say yeah.
All right, yeah.
Hey, we finally got him to make a decision here. Everyone's like, on the fence. We got one finally.
All right, Greener. What's your final take?
Yeah, my final take is yes. I think for the reasons I listed above or before, I think that he deserves to be. Like I said, I don't know how many times we're going to see guys now. I think Verlander and Scherzer will be, those next guys. But I think after that kind of era, it's going to be interesting to see what the qualifications now are for pitchers to make the Hall.
Right. We're going to have to look at it differently. I'm not sure if this guy even deserves a final take, but Crispy, what's your final take?
Guy's a certified bum, all right? Certified bum. That's all I need to say.
All right. That's how we're going to end this segment. So drop your opinions in the comments. Let us know. Should Joey Votto be in the Hall? Should Greinke be in the Hall? Should Pete Rose be in the Hall? Why or why not? Let's get a lively discussion going. Make sure you guys subscribe. Check out the previous segment with Barry Bonds. We're going to now do another segment on, I believe, Shohei, where he may land, kind of a recap of his season, maybe some of the other free agents. If we have time, which I'm not sure if we do, we're going to talk about awards and some of that kind of stuff as well. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe. You're watching Sandlot and the Crew, where Sandlot Radio Show meets Wrecking Yard baseball and softball.